So the last time you were presented with a hurdle, how did you perceive it? Let's be like completely transparent. Let's be honest and be like, don't lie to yourself, right? Because I feel like so many people have this tendency to look at hurdles or, you know, moments of adversity as just super annoying. And of course they can be, right? But that's not all that they are. And if you look a little closer, there is a deeper meaning behind all adversity that is presented within our paths. It's something I really want to break down for y'all because I feel like this is a game changer, not only in the concept of reality creation, right? Like creating your desired reality, entering your desired reality, but also, just day to day things and establishing a more stable mood throughout your life. Because within all adversity lies opportunity, an opportunity to control your own attention, an opportunity to define your own emotions, define how it is that you feel. Um, and something that I always like to remind my partner of, this is a conversation that we have all the time, is about, you know, the difference in being objective versus subjective, right? So being objective is being like very factual and logical and, like very evidence based, right? And being subjective is very opinionated. So, like an example of the two could be, if you're analyzing, you know, like sports, so to speak, if you're being objective about it, it's like one team scored more points than the other. They were the better team that game. They scored more points. They won the game. Point blank period. That's done. You're being objective, right? Versus, being subjective. Um, we might go to a plant-based restaurant and I have some like salad or whatever and I really love it. And then you say, this is really bland, it's being, there's not one answer, so to speak. There are a variety of outcomes, a variety of different perspectives. So within those moments of adversity, if you have the ability to be subjective, if you have the ability to define for yourself why it's happening to you, the same way that you would define for yourself whether or not you like a certain dish of food. It's like, oh, like it doesn't have enough salt, or, it could be a little sweeter, or, it's too oily, right? That same principle, if you can apply that into the moments of adversity that are presented within your life, you become a very, very powerful creator, and you essentially obtain a lot more control of yourself and your own energy. And I think that's what the bottom line is just being able to um, feel how you want to feel when you want to feel it, right? So, and you can describe that as emotional intelligence and just seeing the bigger picture and having a stronger control and a stronger grasp of your own emotions. And that's what this comes down to. Again, first thing I said at the beginning of the video was, last time you were faced with some adversity, what was your initial reaction? Because in most cases, most people, it's like, oh, like, like getting pissed or whatever. And let's break it down. Like, let's be very specific. If last time, if you know, if you dealt with like a bad client in your business who, was just doing some phony shit, they're just like doing a chargeback on you. They're asking for refunds. Maybe they gave you a bad review, or you're coming back. You're downtown or something, and you find a parking ticket in the mail, or you get to the airport and your flight is canceled and is delayed. Um, how do you react in these moments? And if not in those specific instances within your own life, similar ones, right? I just gave those like to give some context for reference, but how do you react? Most people just instantly are so angry or upset. But if you can train yourself to have the ability to see that there is an opportunity there and you're being tested, there's an opportunity to develop a stronger level of emotional intelligence. There's an opportunity being presented to you to control your own energy, right? So then when you are presented with hurdles that are a lot more significant than that one, you're essentially, you've been training, right? You've been putting in the time and effort to establish a stronger level of control of your own emotions. And the best part about that is that it translates into all areas of life. And that's what it comes down to, man. You are being prepared for any hurdles that present themselves in life. And life becomes so much easier as a result. So you spend a lot less time in that lower vibration, that lower frequency of, frustration or resistance or anger or whatever it is. You can move past things a lot faster, right? So, like for me, before we got back to traveling or whatever, like we went back home for a bit. I was in Canada, and bro, I think I got like 3 parking tickets, and I know the city fairly well, bro. So it was really interesting to me that like these new spots, like I was getting tickets in them, and I was like, damn, bro. So what was my initial thought? What did I tell myself in those moments? As soon as I opened the mail, I busted out a smile. And I said, "Yeah, some money is on its way to find me in the form of new opportunities, new projects, new clients for our business. And this is just like a little detour in order to get there." That subjective point of view, y'all, that is so powerful. You know what I'm saying? And mind you, the next week, we close a deal with one of our biggest clients in our business to date, right? So it's just, and like, no, that's not a coincidence. Like, that's just how it works. And that is the opportunity that was presented within that small form of adversity, if you will. A parking ticket, adversity might be a little overstated. I know that there's a lot more significant adversity that a lot of people deal with, but that's just an example. You know what I mean? And by telling myself the things that I wanted to believe and accepting those beliefs, the universe now puts me on the path that aligns with those beliefs. And it all happens naturally. I don't have to do anything by force. I don't got to trip about nothing. It all happens on its own. And that's the key, is knowing when to be objective, logical, factual, and when to be subjective, opinionated, and biased. Because being biased can work in your favor, right? You can choose to see whatever you want within any instance, right? Like, because we all have different point of views. Like I'm outside right now. You might come out here within this nature. I don't know if y'all can see them. There's some ducks over there. They've been out here like, quacking and, just making some noise from time to time. But how do you perceive it? Is it blissful? Is it peaceful? Is it, just miraculous? Like another form of consciousness, like around me? Or is it just annoying? Or this beautiful butterfly? I don't know if y'all can see that. No, I just flew away. I don't know if I got that, but it's just perception, guys, and that's the bottom line. That's the entire context of this video. Within every form of adversity, every hurdle in your life is an opportunity to develop yourself, is an opportunity to strengthen your level of emotional conviction, your level of emotional intelligence and control, right? And it's essentially preparing you for any phase of life. So then when you are presented with things that might be a little more extreme, you're equipped, like you're built for it. It's not going to keep you down. This life is temporary. We all know this, but it's always, I think, important for daily reminders that, as you continue to live, your time on this earth is passing by, right? So what are you going to do with the time that you have left? I think Big Sean had a line that was pretty similar to what I just said.
Every day I wake up, I'm one day closer to death. So what you gonna do with the time you got left?
So I think it's in our best interest to remain in a positive frequency for as long as possible, because time is limited. Like, why wouldn't we be? If we can train ourselves to be able to pick ourselves back up in the shortest amount of time as possible, that will enable us to live in a higher frequency for as much time as possible. And I hope y'all can really understand what I'm saying right now, and I can't emphasize this enough. Like, this is such a transformative skill to be able to see what you want to see and only accept the things that serve you and propel you forward. That's what it comes down to. And another thing I really love about this ability as well is that it's very contagious, right? Because, you might have hurdles that present themselves and they might not just be for you. It might not just be a parking ticket in the mail, you know. The other example I gave was, like, let's say you have like a family trip or whatever and a flight gets canceled, and you miss an event or whatever. If you can be the one to embody this, this positive point of view, this positive perspective, it's very contagious, and you can really allow that frame of mind to be, projected onto other people. So then they get out of that low frequency, that negative mindset faster as well. And you can lead by example, and that's something I've really noticed as well. Is the more that I continue to train myself to be a positive thinker and to only accept positive beliefs, the people around me start to embody them as well. And I think that's very gratifying in itself, and you find a lot of fulfillment to not only pick yourself back up, but to see that your energy can be the reason that other people pick themselves back up, and they feed off of that. So when you put that into perspective, it's like, okay, there's an even stronger sense of motivation to, cultivate a stronger sense of your own emotions, because, like, why wouldn't you? I know there are a lot of people who, they're almost like so negative to the point where they're in a negative mindset to where, like, they don't want to hear anything positive. They would rather like bicker and, like, maybe talk shit about somebody, and just, essentially have someone agree with them, while they're in their lower frequency. But by being that positive force that you are and that you're going to continue to be, you can really help uplift other people, man, whether it be family or friends. So if there's anything that you can, like, really take away from this video, if we're really just going to summarize it and break it down in a way that's super short, concise, and simple, next time you are faced with some form of adversity, choose what you want to see and allow it to be something that aligns with your desired reality, right? With whatever it is that you want. This is happening because it's a detour to get to wherever it is that I'm trying to get to. Continue to embody that, y'all. And you'll see your reality is just going to continue to shift, and you will be amazed at how transformative this skill really is. You know what I'm saying? I love y'all so much. I will catch y'all in the next video. It is KT.